Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about some of the stock earnings this week. I'm going to be talking about 5 stocks that reported earnings this week and kind of stood out a little bit, and also the quite big companies that I track quite close, and I know some of you guys are into a few of these companies, so we're going to be talking about them. And as always guys, if you can like the video down below, comment down below any stocks that you kind of saw earnings and was quite surprised about, or stocks that really caught your eye. That'd be absolutely awesome, and subscribe if you haven't. Just before we get into earnings, I am just going to cover the stock market just slightly because this week the Nasdaq actually went positive for the year, which is really surprising because I think that the Nasdaq shouldn't really be going positive for the year right now, especially when we consider what's going on. The S&P is only down 10% as well, and a lot of the bad earnings, the stocks hardly moved, or even some of them went up after some bad earnings, which really surprised me. And I think that just kind of says right now why I'm not currently buying a lot of stocks. For the Nasdaq to be positive and the S&P to be only down 10% is absolutely nuts. I think even if you went into, like, let's say it was January the 1st and it said, right, what's going to happen is there's going to be a pandemic, it's going to shut the whole world down, and basically the whole world is not going to be operating for 2 months. And it'll also take a long time to recover from there because there's going to be a lot of measures into place to stop things from getting back to normal. But the stock market is pretty much going to be flat and the S&P is only going to be down 10%. You'd be like, what? Like there's so much disconnect going on from the world and what's happening right now. And some of these companies are pushing 52-week highs, and some of these earnings weren't very good as well. I mean, I look at Boeing last week and I looked at Boeing's earnings and I was like, they weren't really good. And the stock actually went up on the day and I was like, that is crazy. And we had a few of them again this week, which is kind of worrying, and it's putting me off from investing in the stock market at these prices because there's just not the link going on between the stock market and the world right now. I mean, the stock market should not be at these sort of prices, which is really scaring me, and it's really put me off a lot of stocks. I mean, the UK stocks aren't looking as bad. There's a few more attractive stocks in the UK starting to appear now, and I'd probably buy a few stocks in the UK or nibble at a few stocks in the UK next week because a few of them are pulling back a little bit. But I'll make a video next week and I'm going to look this weekend at a few of these companies, and then next week I'll probably buy them on like Monday, and then I'll make a video on Wednesday about which ones I did actually buy. So just to let you know about that. But anyway, all that with the stock market and UK stocks, let's get stuck into some earnings that happened this week. So let's start off with Disney. Disney is a company that I hold and I've started to buy quite recently because I believe that the acquisitions in Fox and also Disney Plus will be really beneficial for them in the long term when we look 2 to 5 years at Disney. Now there's some news that have come out, and that's Shanghai is looking at opening up their parks again, and also that what's happened is all the early ticket bookings for the park from the opening have sold out. Now that does sound a really good headline, but I have to say it is at a 30% capacity, so obviously you would hope for them to sell out. But the little positive from here is that if we do start opening up, there's still people out there willing to go and, you know, travel and go to places, go to public places. I know it is a 30% capacity, but at the same time it's a good thing to still see. And also I am a bit worried about Disney's Q2 numbers because Q1s weren't great, and Q2's probably be even worse because the lockdown will be longer in that kind of quarter. So hopefully this will kind of balance out a few of the costs that they'll take on, and hopefully that EPS won't be horrible. Now the EPS this time round missed by 30 cents, revenue was a beat, and Disney Plus numbers came in at a beat, which is what we kind of hoped anyway. I have to say the EPS is kind of worrying that we're losing a lot more profit than what we thought we would. Also because of that, it's led to Disney not paying the dividend for the first 6 months. I am a little bit wary for this one because Disney's earnings wasn't great, and also the Q2 probably be a little bit worse as well. But the stock has gone up since, so I'm kind of puzzled how, because this is a prime example of a company that reported earnings that weren't great, but the stock went in the other direction. So overall, I wasn't that impressed with Disney numbers, but at the same time, once again, the stock market kind of disregarded all of it and put the stock up quite a bit after their earnings. Next up is Wynn Resorts, which is a company that I actually sold out of, I think it was last week or the week before. I've made a video about it. I'm sure you guys pretty much know that whole story about Wynn Resorts. I sold out at about an 82% profit, I think it was. They reported earnings and their EPS missed by $1.85. There was a revenue beat, but the revenue was down 42% year over year. Dividend was also cancelled, and also there's the kind of the thing about Q2 will be worse. And once again, this stock didn't really move. It has gone up slightly since the earnings, And I was kind of confused with this one because I thought Wynn Resorts, their earnings were terrible. To have revenue down 42% year over year, EPS to meet by that much, dividend cancelled, and also Q2 to be worse. So much uncertainty around the stock, and this stock as well, it didn't move. It's gone up slightly more than anything. And you look at a company like this, and I sold out because I thought this stock price is kind of like way crazy for like everything that's going on, and I took my profit and I looked and I think Wynn Resorts, their stock should have dropped half this earnings. Their earnings were horrible, but once again the stock kind of stayed flat. But there we go. Now next one is Pinterest, which is a company that I've been buying very heavy. It is my kind of like growth stock at the moment in the portfolio. They reported earnings and their stock went down 18%, and I was shocked. I was really shocked when I saw this go down 18% because they kind of offered guidance a little bit ago saying that it's going to be better than what we thought. They did the kind of earnings report and earnings were pretty much in line with that guidance, which was all kind of good. And then the stock moved down 18%, and I was like, hold on, this stock has just completely hit its guidance, and then it moved down 18%. I mean, the EPS missed by like 1 cent. The revenue beat it by a little bit. The revenue growth was 34% year over year. The user growth was 26%. And the big case, the bull case that I have for this stock is that the ad per revenue international needs to grow, and this stock is going to start growing absolutely huge, and the profit will start coming in. Great balance sheet, by the way, in case you didn't know about this company. But ad per revenue user growth, that grew by 76%. So my kind of theory on this stock about that international ad growth growing came true in this earnings report. It grew 76%, which was fantastic. And then the stock went down like 18%, and it was crazy. And I was really close to buying some more shares, but I just didn't because I already have quite a big position in the company. But it has recovered most of that 18% already after that earnings drop. But I was just looking at this stock going, this is a stock that shouldn't have gone down after this earnings report. It probably should have gone up. So yeah, stock market for you right now. Absolutely crazy, doing the opposites. We had Uber, the reported earnings. They missed EPS by 80 cents. Then the stock went up absolutely loads for Uber. I mean, their earnings were kind of like meh. Like, there's nothing more than that. It was kind of like Uber earnings, losses weren't great. The losses getting a lot worse, for example. And yeah, EPS missed, and we wanted to see Uber trying to get to profitability. I was kind of like a little bit disappointed with Uber's earnings, to be fair, but you know, I was kind of expecting not great earnings for them. But yeah, the stock went up after Uber's earnings, which is absolutely bonkers. So there's another one. The last one is Square. So EPS missed. Revenue was up a little bit, a slight little beat. The revenue was really good though. I mean, it grew for 43% year over year, which is fantastic, but it was kind of in line what we expected with Square, and that's why it does trade at a premium price. But the thing is that Square relies on a lot of small businesses, and when we look at Q2, the Q2 is definitely going to be worse than Q1 because, like I say, Q2 is going to have more months of lockdown in than Q1. So for a company that's probably going to have a worse Q2 than Q1 than what it has right now, the stock was up like 10% on the day after these earnings, and it's like this stock kind of like did what we expected. Like, this stock should have been like 0% like up or down. It should have just been flat. It shouldn't have moved off earnings. And the stock went up 10%. So, I mean, I was totally lost by this one as well because the earnings was kind of okay, but then the stock went up like it was fantastic. So, yeah, another one that I was really surprised with on this list overall, and kind of showing like some red flags that I have with the stock market being at these sort of prices. So guys, those are some stock earnings that I covered that happened last week or the week just gone. And like I say, there was some really surprises in there. I think like Square, Wynn Resorts, and also Disney were kind of like three ones that I looked at and I was like, they weren't that good. Even Uber, to be fair. I think Pinterest was the only one that I was like, that wasn't bad. The other four companies, I was really surprised with like them not going down absolutely huge, and even some of them going up. Like Uber, for me, I was like, Uber should have been like flat as well, and that one went up absolutely huge. So there's a lot of stocks going up to prices that I'm like, this is absolutely crazy. We're getting, you know, towards 52-week highs on stocks, and some of these earnings wasn't great. And I think when you look at Q2 is probably going to be worse than a lot of Q1s because of the amount of months that are of lockdown that will be in them earnings. So overall, I was surprised with some of these earnings, and I am slightly worried with where the stock market's going. It's not making sense at the moment, in my opinion. But I thought I'd cover them earnings and my kind of thoughts of them. And like I say, I won't be buying any stocks, definitely these sort of prices. I was kind of hoping for a pullback in some of them, but we haven't got them. And like I say, probably like buying wise, I'm probably looking at a few UK stocks now because some of them are pulling back. So like I say, I'll make a video about that in a few days time. I'll have to look at them over the weekend. As always guys, I hope you enjoy the video. If you can like it, that's absolutely amazing. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next video.